spray from May to May. Check out the pod. King Mack and Big Pig. Mack and Big Pig. Mack and Big Pig. Mack and Big Pig.
What's up, folks? It's the King-Dray-Mack.
And the Big Pig Show, baby.
Man, Big Pig, how you been, man?
I'm all right, man. How you doing today?
Man, I'm beautiful, man. I can't complain. I'm over here sitting back, got my headphones on. I got this microphone in front of my face, and I'm about to put in work on you, boy.
What you sipping, man? What you sipping tonight?
Hey, man, I'm going low budget today, man. I'm going privilege hen, man. I still have some in there, so I got to get rid of it somehow, some way.
That's right.
What you got going on over there? I know you sipping on something, boy.
I'm about to have my waitress bring some 1738. You know what I mean?
That is correct, man. I can't complain about that, man. I'm glad you said 1738 because we're about to get into some numerology right now. I think we're gonna explore something that I've been meaning to go over with you a little bit, and that is the top 10 players in the NBA all time. Me and your list. We're gonna put those together and see what we can come up with. And today we're gonna come up with a definitive list. It's gonna be definitive today, man. What you think about that?
I think so. I don't know if I'm gonna agree with your 10, but we're gonna put our heads together, and I think you might like my 10.
I might
like what I got going over here.
I might not. We're gonna see. We're gonna see who you put up in there, man. You know, when I was thinking about this, the hardest pick. I mean, it was hard doing all of this stuff, like kind of figure it out in for all time who are my top 10 players. Not again, like we did with the rap stuff, not consensus, like who is our top 10, not nobody else is out there. We're not trying to gain no points, no brownie points from anybody. So this is going to be really interesting to see who your players are. I can probably guess who some are, but I just don't know the order of them. But the one that was hardest for me, I don't know about you, but the hardest one for me was number 10. And I think we're going to start in reverse order. So the number 10 that you deliver is going to be a surprise for me. And I'm sure that the one I deliver for you is going to be a surprise. So let's kick it off, man. Once you do the honors.
Okay, I'm gonna kick it off. My number 10 is the Shake, baby, the Dream, the Olajuwon, the one and only Dream Shake.
Wow,
that's my number 10.
Wow,
because he put it down, man. He put a whooping on Shaq that. That Shaq couldn't do nothing. He didn't know if Shaq didn't know if he was going left, right, or just going to just shoot the jumper over. He didn't know where he was going. The Dream, man, he was
the Dream
at his time, his size, he was unguardable. First center, run, probably one of our fastest centers. He was getting down the court before anybody. And he gets you in that post. He can go left, he can go right, he can dribble. And what people don't talk about is his defense. Man, you couldn't bring nothing in there.
Nothing.
And he stayed consistent his whole career. I think he is easily my number 10.
Wow.
I'm surprised I ain't got him a little higher, but I'm gonna leave it at 10.
Okay.
Since I see me and you sound like you're a little bit different than me. Who you got your number 10?
Well, man, it's like this. I told you I was on the bubble on this one, man. I had a lot of players that were like peeking in to break into that top 10. As we told everybody out there in the world, we old school. So we've seen the beginnings and the endings of a lot of their favorite players' careers. So we've watched it, we've documented it, we did the eye test on them. So we have a good understanding of who should be on this list. there were a lot of people who didn't make it. And I'll probably go over some of those players that didn't make it after we cash in and get down to our number one. But surprisingly and unexpectedly, my number 10 went to college at Houston. He played for the Phi Slamma Jamma. If you don't know who that is, go look that up. He's the first pick in the draft coming out of college over Jordan. He went before a lot of your players like Barkley and Stockton. He went over those players. And he happens to be Akeem, the Dream, Olajuwon. Ain't that something? Me and you got the same number 10?
We got the same number 10?
We got the same number 10, man. Like,
wow.
We got the same number 10. So we must have locked in. We must have locked in on this. But I'm going to give you the reasons on why I chose him for number 10. You spoke on it a little bit. You talked about, when I was thinking about my top 10, I was thinking about who can play offense. There's a lot of players to this day that play great offense. They could put up 30 points every night. But that defensive end is where the game has suffered and is lacking. Now, Akeem, the Dream, Olajuwon, man, on defense, let's just talk about that. Only player to win an MVP, a championship, and a Defensive Player of the Year. One of the only players to be able to record a quadruple double. That's rebounds, points, assists, and blocks. Akeem, the Dream, like you said, gave the business to Shaq. Gave the business to Shaq in such a way to where Shaq had to go back and think about his game and say, look, man, there's some things that I need to really work on in my game because Akeem was shaking him. I mean, doing him dirty. Now, Shaq is always going to get his, but he also wants the other person that he's playing not to get theirs. But Akeem got his all series. Just put Shaq in bad situations, popcorn machine, just killed him. You understand? Akeem played during, they won 2 championships back-to-back when Jordan retired. And that's the only little caveat, the only little asterisk that you can put on his 2 championships. But during those same years, and Kenny Smith always says this, that they beat the Bulls handily during that regular seasons when they did win those championships. Akeem the Dream, man. Like I said, first player, MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, NBA Finals MVP in the same year. And he retired in the all-time top 10 for blocks, scoring, rebounding, and steals. And let's not even mention the fact that he didn't pick up basketball until later in his life. He loved soccer. Soccer was his first sport. He played goalie, a 6'10" goalie. But somebody came out there, recruited him to the Houston Cougars. They had the Phi Slamma Jamma, and they did their thing. Him and Clyde Drexler and some others, man. He was amazing. So much so to where if you don't know, you need to go and Google him, get on YouTube, and watch Akeem. Not necessarily during the time that he played, because that's a normal task. But go watch what he did after he retired, teaching Kobe Bryant footwork, LeBron James footwork. A big man, 6'10", teaching guys that are much shorter than him and much more agile footwork, because it was impeccable footwork. So Akeem Olajuwon, Akeem the Dream, the Nigerian Nightmare, that is my number 10. And man, hopefully our number 9s will be different, man. But who you got for number 9?
I got the one, the only, the big O, baby. Mr. Triple Double himself.
Wow.
Oscar Robinson. First man to have a triple-double, to average a triple-double for a season. Never to be done until Westbrook.
Wow.
That's almost 50 years until somebody could do it again. He has to be in my top 10. Won a championship with Lou Alcindor. Some people don't know who that is.
Speak on it.
Championship with Lou Alcindor.
Who's Lou Alcindor?
One of the greatest scorers ever.
That's right.
Yeah, Mr. Triple Double himself, man. I watched old highlights and, talking to my dad and old guys and they're telling me and I had to look up the stats myself because I had to do my own study on him. From him playing at the University of Cincinnati to him playing in the pros, he was just dominant. He was a big guard at that time. He was Magic Johnson at the time. He was a big guard for that time and that era, but he had moves. He could shoot, he could dribble, he can pass like nobody else had seen back then. Well, he had the 60s on lock. And he is the reason why we watch the triple doubles now. He's the reason why Westbrook is Westbrook. Why Westbrook is chasing so many triple doubles. And it just, phenomenon. He was a phenomenon. He was a dominant player. He was a phenomenon. He's one of the guys I think he doesn't get as much credit nowadays because of the Magic Johnsons of the world. And he only won that one championship with Lou Alcindor. So he was kind of overlooked in that era because of the Wilts and the Bill Russells and those guys in that time, that he kind of got overlooked because he didn't win, but he was still just as dominant as a lot of those other players. He just didn't get the trophies, but at least he got one. And that's why, to me, he is in my top 10, number 9. So King Draymack, let me know who your number 9 is, player.
Man, wait, hold on. The big O. Big O's to the big O, man. That's a wonderful pick right there, man. And I saw him out there dangling, man. I didn't bite. He might have been around that bubble, but that's a great pick. I gotta give you credit for that. But let me go with my number 9, man. My number 9 goes by many, many, many names. I mean, he's probably leads the league or led the league in names. Some people call him Diesel. Some people call him the Big Aristotle. Some Superman. But I just called him Shaq. So Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, is my number 9 NBA player of all time.
Oh, you gotta let me know why. Why you pick him number 9? How did you pick number 9?
Shaq is number 9, man, all day long. Because let me tell you why. Most dominant player, aside him and Wilt, the most dominant players to ever grace the basketball court. 7'2", 7'1", 300 pounds, strong, fast. I mean, we talk about LeBron. You talked about Big O. We talk about players that are just big for their size with extraordinary athleticism. And this is Shaq. Like I said, most dominant player. They had to institute the hack-a-Shaq just to defend this man. Every time Shaq got the ball down low, he was fouled. I don't care who was guarding it. It could be Muggsy Bogues, 5'3", or it could be Yao Ming, 7'4", 5", or whatever, however tall he was, fouling Shaq all the time. So they had to rewrite the rule book for that man because he was getting hacked every time he touched the ball. Every time it was winning time, Shaq. Throw it down to Shaq, establish that inside game. I'll kick it to you on the outside if need be. Shaquille, this all day long. I mean, breaking the courts. Remember when he first got into the league, I saw him play in the high school All-American game, the McDonald's game, and I was like, damn, I didn't even know. I had no idea. But I saw him throwing people shit out, dunking, running the court, tall, big dude, man, just killing him. And he had that chip on his shoulder because he didn't make the Olympic team. And Christian, well, that was before Christian later, but he just had that chip on his shoulder coming out of high school. So then by the time he got at LSU, he dominated. Him and Chris Jackson dominated at LSU, but he wanted to be the Olympic team. Christian Laettner took his spot. So what real G's do is they just harbor all of these feelings, and when they make it onto the stage that they can show their dominance, they do. And Shaq did that. Got into the league. I mean, he was literally tearing the basket off the hinges. He would break down not just the backboard. He was breaking the entire court. Go look it up. If I ain't got to lie to y'all. Go look it up. Breaking the whole court down. The Kobe and Shaq tandem, man. You know, like I know. You're a Laker fan, like I'm a Laker fan. After Shaq left Orlando, they had a great run. Him and Penny. They didn't get to the top, but they made it to the pinnacle. But they just couldn't get over the top, sort of like Gonzaga did. But once he got to the Lakers and they started winning, Kobe and Shaq time, that was a second coming to Showtime with the Lakers. Beautiful thing. I mean, Shaquille averaging over 55% for field goal percentage, averaging around 23 points a game. Everywhere he went in the pros, for the most part, he won. Everybody he played, he dominated. Shaq has that jacket on his back that he could have got more out of his talent. Of course, he could have got more out of his talent. There's not many people that walk this earth that don't get their full capacity, who gets the full capacity out of their talent. There's only a couple Kobe's and Jordans out there. Shaquille got what he got out of his frame and his ability, and what he got was 4 championships, and what he got was dominance, and he got the best thing he could get, that number 9 on King Draymack's list. Now, who you got for number 8, player?
Okay, so you got Shaq as number 9, huh?
That's right. Shaq is number 9 over the Big O.
Over the Big O, boy. Ooh, that's kind of steep there. Yeah,
damn near unanimous MVP right there. Damn near unanimous.
I see. We got some differences.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna straighten this Big O and Shaq went out. When that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna come back to that number 9. We're gonna straighten that out before we can get anything resolved. So let's go to that number 8 though, Claire. If you even went that far, you know what I mean. You might have stopped already at Big O and gave up. Let's see.
No, my number 8 is after doing some studying. It took me a little studying to learn more about number 8. This is the only way I moved him up on my list. I didn't know much about him until later on in life. I never got to watch him play or anything.
Okay.
But I heard he was Dr. J before Dr. J. He was Michael Jordan before Michael Jordan, but a better rebounder than both of them.
Mm.
And never won a championship. Was on the championship team, but was hurt. He never got to win a championship.
Mm.
But I'm going to say, let y'all know, everybody needs to know about this man. Need to look him up. Google, rest in peace, Elgin Baylor.
Damn.
Elgin Baylor is my number 8. Once I heard about all the accolades, all the scoring, one of the highest scorers in the finals, 61. He could do it. He could do it when it counted. And winning 33 games in a row, he had the Lakers going. A lot of people, they talk about Jerry West. They talk about Wilt. But you need to look up this man. You need to look up his stats. And a lot of us at my age and my era, we seen him as a coach, a general manager. We're proud to see him as a black man being a coach and a general manager. We was proud of that. But he was a better ball player than he was any of those things.
Mm.
He was, from my study, from what I hear,
Your
from
hearsay.
talking to people,
From hearsay.
from talking to people and studying it, that Elgin was everything Mike was. But we didn't have film on him like that. He could score. He could average 30 with Jerry West on his team. See, Mike didn't have a Jerry. Well, he had Scotty, but he didn't have the logo on his team. That's how cold Elgin was. So that's why I had to put him at number 8. And I think he deserved to be number 8. If I don't know if I can bring him any higher, but he's at least number 8. I couldn't give him no lower than that.
Man, that's a great pick, man. I mean, R.I.P. to Elgin, man.
I gotta know who, after Shaq, after that number 9 pick you said, I gotta know who you have as number 8.
Well, I'm gonna tell you this, and I'm gonna tell you something about cats that's a little bit older than us when they start telling stories about cats that they saw that didn't have no film. Now, here's the thing. It was stories about people jumping up on backboards and jumping up and able to sit on top of the rim before it was breakaway rims, and they could eat ribs and dunk with the other hand at the same time. See, I got to see it. You understand me? I got to be able to see it. Now, R.I.P. to Elgin. I saw what he did from a statistical standpoint, but in order for him to crack my list, I would have had to see it with my own eyes. But I'm going to trust your words on this. But I'm going to go with a man at number 8 that I saw give people hell. And he did it in a way that was just so understated. I mean, you wouldn't even know that this man had 20 points and 12 rebounds and 4 blocks and steals. You wouldn't even known it watching the game. He goes by a couple different nicknames, but the one that stuck was the Big Fundamental. Oh, the Big Fundamental, Tim Duncan, is my number 8 guy. And as slow as I was to I had to think, I had to consider, I had to damn, should Tim Duncan make it? Because he's like a librarian playing basketball. You know what I mean? He's just so methodical. It's like he's doing files. Like Tim, go get me a file. And he just goes through the file and he just does it the same way every single time. But when you look up, it's 5 championships deep. 5 deep. And when you look up, he's allowing players to play on his team to allow the winning to go on for a very long time. One of the most winningest players in league history when it comes to regular season games. And like I said, they got 5 championships, man. As much as I hated watching the Lakers play the Spurs, because it was always going to be hell when they played the Spurs, because they had great coaches and they put their players in the right places. But Tim Duncan was the keystone. He was the cornerstone or the rock of San Antonio. I mean, we love boxing, and I just saw him as basically he's an outboxer. He's a dude that don't knock you out. He just gets in there. He outpoints you. He knows the how much time is left within a round. He flurries at the end of the round, wins the round, and then without making any faces, any emotion, he goes to the corner and says, "How did I do?" And the corner man was like, "Man, just keep doing what you're doing, man. Keep doing what you're doing." So he's that guy, but he always did it against at the highest level. He did it against Shaq. He did it against Kobe. He did it against LeBron. He did it against Wade. And he did it without changing any of his expressions. So that's why it was very hard for me to jump on the bandwagon with putting him in here. But he played 1,158 career. He had 1,158 career wins, regular season and the playoffs. And there was only 2 other players to get 1,100 wins. So he's a winner. He's a winner He's a winner. And Tim Duncan deserves a spot on my top 10. And number 8 is where he landed, right after Shaq. So they're kissing cousins, in my opinion. So who you got, player, for number 7?
And I agree with you. I agree with you on everything you said about Tim Duncan. I do, and I didn't like him either. The way he played, but I did have him as my number 7. I got Tim Duncan as number 7.
Oh man,
I've watched him since Wake Forest, and he won in the 90s. He won in the 2000s. He won in the 2010s. He was still getting titles. At the end of his career, he was still getting titles. He was still going to the finals. I still say, to this day, if Popovich had not took Tim Duncan out that game,
I know that game.
I don't know if LeBron would have won that first championship. Because
the one that Ray Allen got that rebound.
When Ray Allen shot that shot, Tim Duncan should have been in that game to grab that rebound. They were up. He's got to be one of your best defenders. I don't know to this day why the Hall of Famer, top 7 player ever in life on the basketball court, was not in the game at the end of the game. I don't understand it, never will, but he made Tony Parker's career. He made Manu Ginobili's career. Without Tim Duncan, I don't think their career would be as good, not even close.
Wouldn't be close.
And he brought David Robinson a championship. David Robinson didn't get no championship or nothing before there was a Tim Duncan. They had David Robinson on the team and still took L's just so they could get Tim Duncan on the team. They gave up the whole season. They gave up just to get Tim Duncan. That's how cold he was. And he delivered on everything on that pick from day one all the way to the end. He delivered. He can hit the bank shot. All the big men that's out there right now, name me one big man right now that can shoot a bank shot from 15 feet, 17 feet out right now, like Tim Duncan. I don't think we can name one. And his defense, another guy. People don't talk about his defense. They just say he plays the same. Never got mad. Never got kicked out of games. Just played. Didn't worry about how much he got the ball. Didn't worry about how much time he was playing. Didn't worry about getting took out. Didn't even worry about if the coach got in his ass a little bit. So, with all that said, yes, he deserves to be number 7. I'm kind of debating if he should be even higher because he is phenomenal. 5 championships, 7 finals, 5 championships. So he was pretty proficient on what he does. He don't lose much. Playoffs every year. It's hard to play that many years and you're in the playoffs every year. I don't know too many people on this list that can say that every year. Small amount of people. Think about it. People look him up. So D, King Dre Mack, Who do you have for your number 7?
Man, that was eloquent on Tim Duncan, man. I'm glad you shed some light on that. I'm going to have to go with my lucky number 7, though. My guy averaged 15 points a game. And you probably say, oh, 15 points? How the hell can somebody be 15 points and on the top 10 list? He averaged 22.5 rebounds a game. Let me say it again. 22.
I hear you.
22.5 rebounds a game. The man was the only coach, the first player coach that there was. He actually played in games and he actually coached games at the same time. He won 11. Let me say it again. Number 7 won 11. 7-11.
Wow.
11 championships. Mr. And I've got to say Mr. when I say this. Mr. Bill Russell.
Ooh, man.
Mr. Bill Russell, man.
You can't take nothing away from him.
Can't take nothing away from Bill. Biggest winner of all time, because you can say all the stats you want. You can tell me how somebody crossed somebody over, how you made them fall, how deep you can shoot the three, how many timeouts you made a full call because they didn't have the right players in the game, whatever you judge the game off of. You can't take nothing away from somebody that won 11 championships. I don't care what era it's in. Bill Russell played against Wilt Chamberlain. That was his biggest nemesis. And Wilt would give him hell every single game. But Bill would walk away with the jewelry. Damn near every single time he walk away with the jewelry. It's many awards. I love it when I see Bill Russell walk out on the court and give awards out to the younger players so that they can understand who paved the way for him to make this NBA as lit as it is now. I used to hate the Celtics. You used to hate the Celtics, Big Pick. Man. The Celtics, I'm telling you, the Celtics, back when we were growing up in the 80s, it was damn near like, I can't even express like that what that uniform meant. Like that shamrock on the floor, that parquet floor, all of that stuff meant to us was just like, hey man, look, this is a team that I absolutely hate. And then as I got to know more, and this is no disrespect to those that live in Boston, but the more that you fulfill your brain and you put more in your brain, the more that you know about the history of the United States, the more that I knew that Boston was one of those places that wasn't too friendly to African Americans. So I used to see those players on the squad in the 80s, and I used to be like, man, why in the hell are you playing at Boston? Well, I was young, so it's about that paycheck and pesos. We know that. But back in the 1960s, man, when Bill Russell was holding it down, I start, as an older guy, I started to like peer into what he was going through and hear him talk about the racism that he endured in Boston, about how the people would call him names, his own fans calling him names and talking crazy to him, and how he stood tall, literally and figuratively stood tall for his race. And if you look, there's a famous picture of Muhammad Ali where he's signing a document, and it had to do with the black movement back in the 60s, and Bill Russell was right by his side. So I give Bill Russell hella credit. I mean, way more credit than I gave him as a young man because, the fact that he was playing for Boston. But Bill Russell, 11 championships, averaging 22.5 rebounds per game, battling Wilt, battling racism, living in Boston, grew up in Louisiana, but went to school in San Francisco, Oakland area. California is in his heart. So I got to give Bill credit. And I got to give Bill the slot on my list as number 7.
Hey, you said that perfectly, man. And you let the world know when the points and the rebounds, because I know you shocked a lot of people when you said 15 points a game. I even had to second guess what you were about to say. But when you said it, man, it made so much sense. It did. It just made sense. I mean, he did so much for us. He did so much for us as a people.
Trailblazer.
Yes, and that championship trophy, he is the one that always hands it out to this day.
To this day.
So,
and he got 15 points, but he got 11 chips.
11 chips.
He damn near got as many chips as he got points per game.
So that's a lesson these young kids should learn, that defense wins championships.
Man.
And Bill can play that D. He didn't need all the points. 15 was enough. Those 22 boards, that's part of your defense. 22 boards, getting that ball off the rim. That's part of playing defense.
Yes. Yes,
but
Lord.
With that said,
let's jump into it.
We got to jump into number 6. My number 6. Oh, this has been, I've been going back and forth, and oh my God, I kind of been going back and forth with this one.
Spit it out.
5 and 6 has been hard for me, but my number 6 is rest in peace, Mr. Bryant, Kobe Bean Bryant was my number 6 because he played for the Lakers, man, and he played 20 years for the same team. Played his heart out, and I have to give him much credit because I never seen, even Mike, I never seen anybody score like Kobe. He can go off on you. He had 81 in a game. They took him out. He could have kept scoring.
Could have kept going.
He was so hot that the coach just said, let me just take you out and sit you down for a minute. He had 60 points in 3 quarters. 3 quarters to get 60. So he can get hot at any time. He led the Lakers to 5 championships. Yes, 3 of them was with Shaq. But without Shaq, he went to the finals 3 times without Shaq. Just to let the world know how bad he really was. Since you guys didn't want to give me an MVP with Shaq, y'all better know what I am with Shaq and without Shaq. I can still get rings on my finger. Not 1, but 2. I can still go back to back without Shaq. 3 finals in a row without the big Aristotle. That's how bad this man was. You don't know too many people that can go to the finals that many times in a row. He went to the finals 3 times with Shaq and 3 times without Shaq. That's a bad man right there. If we want to know the definition of a bad man, that Kobe was a bad man. And kids, it's not just his scoring, it's the way he scored. It's his footwork. It's his getting around the screens. It's him running the triangle. Even though he ran the triangle, he kept scoring. Even when he had Shaq on his team, he still could average 27, 28. This guy's barely averaging that right now. So imagine if they had Shaq on their team. Some of those guys be averaging about 19 right now. That's for real. So that's why I had to say Kobe is number 6 on my list. Who do you got as your number 6, King Draymack?
Man, that was well said, man. I got a lot of feelings about what you said. And mostly because Kobe is my number 6. He's my number 6 too. And I can tell you the last time I cried, I know the last time I cried. And mind you, I've had some funerals in between that time and now. But the last time that I've cried and shed tears is when Kobe went down in that helicopter with his daughter. That hurts me right now to even say that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a sad day we can't forget.
That's a sad day, man. I drove by the crash site. I was down by the Staples Center when it was when people were out there mourning him and signing up on the boards that they put up there in his honor. And that was right before the coronavirus hit. So that was the last time I was really in a big crowd like that, man. And that really hurt me, man, because I'll tell you that the respect that I had and gained for Kobe magnified itself after his retirement, because I saw how much he loved his family and loved his daughter. Man, it was amazing. And I had a little insight too, because I have a friend that used to help to run that Mamba Academy out there. And I would hear extra stories about Kobe and his daughter and how much, you know, he cared about women's sports. That's why women's sports are important. We have to support our women and our young girls. And for me, a father that has a daughter and has a young daughter, makes you even more attached to fatherhood and what that means. So Kobe going down really touched me. But I'm going to tell you why he was my number 6. And you know this. I got a checkered history with fandom with Kobe. One of the first time that I learned about Kobe was from you. And won't you tell me, before I go on into my story, you tell me when you told me about Kobe.
Yes, we both were at the beach. We both at Venice Beach, and we saw this young man that we had never seen before. And he started playing at the beach, and he had all the points. The other team hadn't scored. His team was the only team that scored, and he had all the points, 9-0. And I said, who is this kid? Who is this kid at the beach?
And what did you tell me, though? What did you tell me he was going to be?
I said, if this guy has any kind of jump shot, this guy is going to be a superstar.
And the next Michael Jordan.
The next Michael Jordan. I did not know who he was at that time. I didn't know how good he was at that time. And we see how it turned out.
We see how it turned out, man. Kobe by far, it's not even close, was the most gifted shot maker in NBA history. And I'm not saying he's a Steph Curry from 3. I'm not saying he was Michael Jordan driving to the hole. I'm saying the level of difficulty of shots that Kobe could put up and make, there's nobody in league history to ever do that. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to take it a little further. And this is why my fandom was a little checkered with Kobe, because I was a diehard Laker fan as early as when Norm Nixon and Kareem and Jamal Wilkes were all playing for the Lakers. This is in the 70s, y'all, when you put headphones on to listen to the radio. It's like the old school headphones, and I'm riding on skates and skateboards listening to the Lakers play. And back in the day. And then they got this dude named Irvin Magic Johnson, and the trajectory changed for the Lakers and the league. So now we had this great era of Showtime basketball, and then they got handed off to Shaquille and this young boy, Kobe Bryant, at this point. 17 years old, in the league. I saw him play at Venice. He did his thing. That's awesome. But he was coming off the bench at this point, his first couple years, We had Nick Van Exel that used to run the game, Eddie Jones, Shaq, and others. But Kobe was always itching to get in the game, and he was a bit precocious. If you don't know what precocious is, go look that shit up. But he would get in the game, and he would be firing. I mean, he had green light, okay? Like, he didn't see no red lights in his head. I don't even think he knew what color red looked like. He get in the game, green light, shooting from three, going to the cup, and making hella mistakes, okay? So making hella mistakes. And so much so, he made some mistakes in the Utah playoff game when he shot 2-3 air balls, and I was hot. I was like, man, we need to trade this dude. We need Vince Carter in here, somebody like that. Let's get rid of this dude. But in the fashion of a champion, all of that seasoning, all that conditioning that he did, all the shots that he put up in the game and outside of the game made him so fucking good that the years after that, I'm talking the number 8 Kobe, when Kobe was 8, Afro Kobe, number 8 Kobe. When Kobe finally put all that shot-making ability, all that tenacity, all that ferociousness, all that be like Mike shit into a capsule, swallowed it, and got on the court and did his thing, it was no looking back. Kobe was a monster, a terror. The only thing that held Kobe back during the time that he was number 8 was that he was playing on a team with one of the most dominant players that ever played the game. And he had a coach that was the best coach that ever coached the game in the NBA game, arguably. So that's the only thing that held him back at that point. And you said it, Big Pick. Even after winning championships, I remember the Portland game when Kobe threw that oop to Shaq, and they bonded and they won, and all the stuff that Kobe went through with Shaquille and trying to show that he was the man. And like, he always wanted his own team. And when he finally got his own team, he took Gasol, he took Fisher, he took Ori, he took Rick, I forgot his last name, Rick, whatever his last name was, it don't even matter. He took all of them to the championship, did his thing, and showed that he should be on the Mount, damn near on the Mount Rushmore of sports. But right now, he's in my top 10, and he is my number 6 player of all time. He went from being that person that I was like, oh my God, to I'm crying for this man and his family. 20 years with the Lakers. He deserves a statue out in front of Staples Center. He might be up there with Magic as the best Laker of all time. And nothing but love, nothing but respect. Kobe being Bryant, we love you, Black Mamba.
Oh man, you said that perfectly. You almost got me teary-eyed right now. Shoot.
Man.
Just thinking about him and what he did, man. Oh my God. And
man.
Just being able to watch him and see that young man mature into the person he ended up becoming. And the ball player he just felt like, man, he felt like a family member, man. He just, he was that kid, like you said, he was that 17-year-old kid that we watched grow from 17 to that man at 40-something doing the academy, and it's something when you don't know nobody personally, but you feel like it. He just felt like, he made you feel like you knew him. I always felt like I knew him. From that point on, I just felt like I just knew him.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Great player, man. Great person. Great player. Great person. I love somebody that loved their family, man. And he did that. And Kobe was a fourth quarter player. You know what I'm saying? So I don't care what nobody says. And I don't even care what I say half of the time when it comes to Kobe, because like I said, I had a checkered fandom with Kobe for many years, but I had to respect that man's game and respect his work ethic and respect the man that he was. Rest in peace, Kobe Bean Bryant. So who you got for number 5, player?
Number 5. We got to be coming pretty close to each other on this one, I think.
Yes, sir.
Number 5.
Tell say what you wanna say. Don't be a fraud, King Dre, Big Pick, man. Against the odds, players play from May to May. Check out the pod, kingdraymack and Big Pick. kingdraymack and Big Pick. kingdraymack and Big Pick. kingdraymack and Big